Can you be punished for defamation in South Korea even if you speak the truth? In many countries, defamation is considered a crime and is punishable. In most cases, defamation is a crime applied when someone falsely damages a person's reputation. For example, if you point at an innocent person and shout, "That person stole my bag," in a situation, it could potentially be considered defamation. However, did you know that in Korea, you can be prosecuted for defamation even if you speak the truth? In the Korean Criminal Act, defamation is described like this. Take a look at the first paragraph. The term facts is used and it includes facts that correspond to the actual truth. It means that even if you speak the truth, it can still be considered defamation. However, a statement is not punishable if it is true and made solely in the public interest. But if you interpret this differently, even if you call someone a fraudster when they have actually committed fraud, it could still have legal consequences if it's not in the public interest. So, how can we determine whether or not a statement is in the public interest? These are the actual cases from South Korea. Case number 1. Kim, an employee of company A, was working at the company but was not receiving his wages on time. Kim wrote a picket demanding that the unpaid wages be paid and that the company's CEO, Park, engage in sincere negotiations. Kim amplified this message through a loudspeaker. Kim was later punished for defamation. Case number 2. Jun was a school teacher and Min was the principal of the school. They had been in conflict over the management of the school. One day, Jun posted a message on a bulletin board stating that Min had been undergoing psychiatric treatment and that Min had embezzled the school's property. Jun argued that the information he posted was true and that it was written for the purpose of school operations or to ensure the students' right to learn. But the court found that the message was not in the public interest, but rather for Jun's personal gain and convicted him. Of course, there are also cases where the actions were considered to have a public interest and those who were accused were not punished. Case number 3. The chairman of the B Foundation, Yuri, filed a criminal complaint against Lee, who was the former chairman, for embezzlement. However, during the trial, it was revealed that Lee was innocent, and instead, Yuri had falsely accused Lee. As a result, Yuri was convicted of a false accusation. Afterward, third parties organized a protest demanding Yuri's resignation. They loudly proclaimed the fact that Yuri was found guilty in the past for a false accusation while staging the protest. These individuals were subsequently accused of defamation, but the court determined that their actions were primarily for the public interest, although they used some negative expressions that affected Yuri's reputation. As a result, the accused were acquitted. Likewise, judgment about public interest can vary depending on the circumstances and the individuals. Due to the impact of such laws, it's relatively rare for the media in South Korea to report on incidents by revealing the real names of those involved. Although the courts generally recognize the public interest in media reporting, media outlets often find it safer to be cautious in their reporting rather than relying on court discretion. This leads to issues related to freedom of expression. South Korea's constitution guarantees freedom of expression. Therefore, there have been constitutional complaints arguing that the provision on defamation based on facts and truth violates the constitution. However, the South Korean Constitutional Court has determined that the provision on defamation based on facts is constitutional. Some people expect that defamation based on facts may eventually be eliminated in South Korea in the future, but it's advisable to avoid violating it since the law is in effect at the present moment. Laws can change over time, but until they do, it's important to be mindful of and comply with the existing legal framework.